What's going on, people? I know you were expecting me to try to sound like Bray Wyatt. I figured I'd make a video really telling the truth and saying everything and putting it all out there on the reason why I made this page, the Wyatt Foundation. First, I want to say rest in peace to Bray Wyatt, aka real name Wyndham Rotunda. If this video were to somehow get out there, knowing a lot of you guys share my videos, and I always appreciate it. My condolences to his family again, and he was one of my favorites. One of my favorite wrestlers. He had the most creative ideas, and it just sucks that this happened. I made this page a while back, of course, inspired by him, and I put my own little twist to it, inspired by some of my favorite video games, such as Silent Hill, which some of the symbols that are in some of the videos, it's from Silent Hill. I took ideas from The Suffering, Resistance, and a little bit of Infamous, the Infamous game. I took those ideas and I try to blend it in with Bray Wyatt's ideas. He always said, "I'm a man of a thousand faces and a million names. I'm not from this planet. I'm not from here." That was his whole character. His whole character was based off something supernatural. And the reason why I made this page, another reason why, was because my whole life I've always been told you're very nice. You're so open to people. You know a lot of people. It's rare for someone to dislike you. It's very true. There's a few people out there who dislike me, but that's fine. That's how life is. But, my whole life I've been told that I'm one of the nicest people, one of the nicest guys that they've ever met. And that is very true. I live by this thing called, I treat you nicely until you ruin it. This whole thing, you got to earn my respect. See, that quote or that term, whatever term, I just messed that up. You got to earn my respect. You got to earn my trust. See, I'm going to treat you respectfully. I'm going to treat you nicely until you show me otherwise. Until you break that trust. Until you do something where I lose respect for you. But I treat everybody equally. I don't give a fuck where you're from, how you look, what you identify as, what you believe in. I treat everybody the same until you prove me otherwise, until you act like a piece of shit. So the other reason why I made this was to do something completely opposite of me. I grew up playing horror games. And another thing about me is a lot of people don't know, I done seen some shit in my life where I just don't share with a lot of people. There's some people out there who think I'm some, and this is just, I don't give a fuck what people say. Okay, I'm not trying to get political, but because of social media and shit, they see me, they think I'm some white privileged boy from the suburbs or some shit. As if I come from the suburbs, as if I come from Greenwich or Darien, Connecticut, and I grew up with money and I'm just trying to be someone I'm not. I done see some shit, but I don't really talk about that. But the thing is, I grew up playing games like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and all of that. Those were my favorite games. I love horror. I love scary movies. I love all of that. So I figured, why not create something that can have maybe some people guessing yo, is Chris really on that weird shit? Even though I'm not. I do enjoy horror. I do enjoy scary movies and scary games, horror games, survival horror, all of that. I love Silent Hill. I love Resident Evil. That's more of an action horror, but you know what I mean? But Silent Hill, I don't know if anybody's ever played a game called Fatal Frame. That's survival horror right there. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when Bray Wyatt and his character, when I started watching wrestling again, the same time I really started falling in love with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family was the same time where, for some reason, which is so crazy, I was playing this game called The Suffering. Like I said, when I created this page, I took inspiration, which is basically 95% of Bray Wyatt, as you can see, Wyatt Foundation, and I mixed it with games such as The Suffering, Silent Hill, Resistance, and Infamous, and Fear. You can see in some of my videos, I've included Alma Wade, who's in the game Fear. Try to, you know, mix it in as Sister Abigail. You know, I'm spilling all the beans here. You know what I mean? The same time I was getting back into wrestling and I was falling in love, I was falling in love with the Wyatt family. I played a game called The Suffering, and in that game, you're in the prison and there's a character, the Warren, something like that. He was the prison ward, whatever, and he spoke very similar to Bray Wyatt. His accent, his voice was very similar. Now I'll probably cut the video and edit it and show you the name and shit. He had that non-rhotic Southern accent. Non-rhotic means the Southern accent where they drop the R, such as New York where they drop the R. Like this, like in the game he says, "This is my Armageddon." He didn't say, "This is my Armageddon." That's rhotic. Okay, so I'm just telling you all the terms and terminology and shit like that. Rhotic is accents that pronounce the R. Non-rhotic is accents that are known for dropping the R, such as New York, Boston, and a lot of parts of the South. So because of that, I fell in love even more. And also when I was in school, high school, I loved acting. And I loved accents because I was always told, yo, you know what I mean? Growing up in South Norwalk, yo, you don't act like a typical white boy. You also grew up with Jamaicans. You were also a first generation Greek American. And I've always loved impersonating people like Tony Montana, Al Pacino, Tony Montana, and impersonations. I've always loved it. So that made me fall in love with accents. So eventually, you know, I was studying accents. So I tried to do my best to, you know, master accents. And ever since I created this, there's a good amount of y'all who have told me you love my Bray Wyatt impersonation. And you love how, like, I kind of even twist it up and add more of that Louisiana Creole in there or whatever. Even though I'm not that, with the Creole accent, it's like, you know, mixed with the French. But I just keep it the non-rhotic, typical, well, you are beneath me. Like that type of shit. So, you know, I had to make this video because it looks like what I created on my end, which is basically, like I said, inspired by Bray Wyatt, the Wyatt Foundation shit, it kind of worked because there was a couple of y'all who thought if it was like a scam page, or there was a couple of y'all who actually thought that I was into dark magic or whatever you want to call it, which was, I was shocked that it worked. And I was hoping that there was a few people that actually thought that I was into that. And it worked. And I'm sorry that I had y'all worried, but no, I'm not into any kind of devil worship or black magic or whatever you want to call it. I did this because it was inspired by Bray Wyatt. And, you know, I try to create my own version of the Wyatt Foundation, because I know for a fact I can't say Wyatt family because of copyright. You know, that's WWE shit. That's his shit, the Wyatt family. I might use the hashtag, but I'm not saying that. I'm not calling the page Wyatt family. I'm just saying the Wyatt Foundation. And, you know, and it's just, you know, I wanted to make this video a while ago, but I kept forgetting about it, and I didn't know how to, like, you know, I've been so busy with work, and, you know, losing my brother earlier this year was another hardship that I had to deal with. You know, it took a while for me to, like, really get over that. Well, still not fully, but, you know, and he loved when I did this. He loved my impersonations. And, you know, that was another thing. And then when this happened to Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, I was just taken back. I was in disbelief. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how. I didn't know if it was like. I couldn't believe it at first, but he is basically the reason why I created this, because I fell in love with the character that I wanted to create my own version of it. And yeah, so, you know, I really wanted to answer some people's questions, you know, kind of break the ice a little bit, you know, about this page and about, you know, is this really true? And I also throw in there some quote unquote conspiracy theories of, you know, we've heard a lot of different types of conspiracy theories. And he's also mentioned it in some of his promos and segments. So, you know, I said, why not use some of that and create something to have people thinking, and use kind of like jump scares and have y'all like, oh, this is creepy. Because I grew up loving creepy horror, survival horror, action horror, all of that. Like I said, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, all of that. You know, and I took inspirations from some of my favorite games: Resistance, Infamous, Silent Hill, Fatal Frame, Suffering, you know what I'm saying? Fear. So I try to blend that into one. And, you know, I really wanted to keep it like, well, I never have to make a video like this. And, you know, kind of have, you know, people just know like, hey, it's just acting. But with all this happening and what happened to Bray Wyatt, well, Wyndham Rotunda, real name Wyndham Rotunda, I figured I had to make this and kind of break the ice, or break kayfabe, you know. Kayfabe is a term that wrestlers use, especially back in the day, more to keep it, you know, keep the story. Even though most people knew it was scripted and what happens is not personal. The wrestlers don't hate each other. It's just a story. You know what I mean? So that's what I kind of wanted to do with this, because I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to have people like guessing. But, you know, and of course I'm not saying wrestling is fake, because I don't want to offend no wrestlers. I'm saying it's scripted. You know what I mean? It's a physical sport, and I love it. And I grew up watching it, and I love professional wrestling. Even though I do believe people like myself are good, there's a part of us that's a little bit angry, filled with rage, hatred, evil. That part of ourselves that we try to hide. It lives in all of us. It's your choice whether to let it in or let it out. Follow.